So a couple of weeks ago I was able to go back home and get some apples fresh off the tree, which is great and all, but then I got some cooking apples. That means I have to do some cooking. Thankfully, I've found an apple shortcake that looks fine, because I need some snacks, I'm hungry. No, I don't know what shortcake is, I'm not even 100% sure where Leicestershire is, but I've got some apples that hopefully aren't mouldy, I've got some fancy butter because I'm trying to get a job at a cheesemonger's, and I've got some eggs that are only slightly out of date, so I'm sure this will be fine. Everything will be fine. In a slight variation from my normal routine, I first need to make sure that any of the ingredients I have are still edible. We start with the apples. I need a pound of apples. Right, what do we got? Yeah, it's fine. Oh, nope. Most is okay. Yep. Nope. Yep. I think we're doing all right. No. Okay, do I have a pound's worth of apples? Oh, that's a pound's worth of apples. Well, yes, I have a pound's worth of apples then. What am I going to do with all the rest of the apples? Right, so I've got my fancy butter, which is raw, unpasteurised butter, and then I've got some eggs, which only went out of date a week ago, so I'm sure they'll be fine. Self-raising flour. Sure, that'll be fine. Hope I don't find any pantry moths or anything in there. Pinch of salt, caster sugar. Nice. Okay, yeah, right, there we go. We do this. We've got this. Okay, cream, the butter, and the sugar together. This is caster sugar, isn't it? Yes. Too much. Caster sugar done. Butter. 4 ounces of butter. Like I did the trial shift, which went really well. They handed this to me as I was leaving, like, do you want this? It's gone out of date, but it should be fine still. Thought, yes. There's always the danger when you get fancy stuff like this, though, just for a bit, because then at some point you'll use it up, and you have to make the decision, do I go back to my boring life before of the bland shop-bought stuff, or do I just sacrifice my wallet to have fancy butter that just tastes much nicer? I know what the answer will be. The answer will be I'll have to get a job at the cheesemongers, and hopefully get it at a discount. That's the only other option. Great, so that can go back in its fancy thing. Should I have raw butter in the fridge? Probably, but it seems to last okay. Butter in the fridge is useless, because you sit there and it's rock solid every time you want to use it. Can I cream this? No, it's got to be something better than this. What's the point in having a mixer when you just end up with it all on the... It just becomes a batter cage rather than any sort of stirring implement. I won't use that then, that doesn't work. Good, right, so gradually add the flour and mix well. Oh no, I need to add the egg. Egg. Right, well, I may as well do the chat. Smells fine. Beat well together. Gradually add the flour and mix well. It's starting to dawn on me that I might have to find some other recipes to use for these apples as well. One day I will figure out how to place this camera so that you can see me and the food I'm cooking. It says it will become quite firm, but you mustn't add any water to it. That may be enough or too much. That looks like quite a nice batter actually. I'm quite pleased with that. In the comments, out of 10. I put the thing on a thing. Ooh. Grease a shallow baking tin, put half the mixture over the bottom. Oh, you sods. Look at this. Halfway through the recipe, right? Grease a shallow baking tin, put half the mixture over the bottom, put in a layer of apples cooked and well strained. That's the standard thing. You know my favourite thing? My favourite thing in the whole world of getting halfway through a recipe and realising that you were supposed to spend however long doing some other thing that it just didn't mention beforehand. Thankfully, because she doesn't say how she wants me to cook and strain these apples, I'm going to use the terribly ancient and traditional microwave, just as my forefathers would have done. If I put them in the microwave, do you think I can cut them beforehand and just slice them now? I might take that risk. Do it in some Tupperware boxes. Ancient traditional Tupperware boxes. I wonder what will happen if I just throw these in the microwave. I might loosely put lids over them in case there's any explosion risk. From what I can gather, you only need to put apples in the microwave for 3-4 minutes. And my microwave is not the best, so I'll give it 4 minutes and keep an eye on it. Good luck, everyone. And hopefully I can just pour the juice out at the end and that'll be strained. So let's put half of this stuff on here. It doesn't say how thick this layer wants to be. I'm not entirely sure what to do about this. Is that all I up with? I don't really know. I don't understand. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, that's the one. Strained. Very strange. Oh, there's some floating. Right. And then I have to layer 2 Tupperware boxes. Hello. I have to layer 2 Tupperware boxes worth of apple, and then I put the rest of the mix over the top of that. Okay, so this is how it's looking now. Oh no, still no. So this is the point we've got to. I've now put all of the apple on in a layer. It's a good inch worth, since we're being terribly old-fashioned, of apple. And then I have to put this on. This isn't gonna work. Oh, this isn't gonna work at all. Oh, this is going, oh dear. Oh dear. And put the remaining half of the short paste over the top. Oh, I'm concerned. I mean, that now looks horrendous. Tried not to get the juice that was involved in this. But then again, this is it now. So I've put it to when they say moderate oven, how I normally put it. This was going so well. It was going so well. Right, an hour and a quarter later. I mean, looks a little bit like a cow pat, but some of it actually looks quite nice. You know, tasty cow pat. Don't know what happened over there though. Okay, this here is Leicestershire apple cheesecake. Oh wait, no, hang on. When cold, turn out and cut into squares. Bugger. Just push that back together. Maybe wait for it to be cold. I was looking forward to that as well. Okay, right, well, this'll do. It's cold enough, and I've been craving apple for the last hour and a half. So, let's see. The Leicestershire apple shortcake. Looks nice in fairness. It looks nice in fairness. Yeah, looks good. I wish I had some custard or some cream. Yes. Yes. This recipe could maybe have done with a bit less apple, but tasty. I think what happened is I put too little in the lower layer of the paste dough, whatever, and then there was loads of apple, and then there was loads spare on the top layer. Yes, very much so. So I still seem to have quite a few apples left over, so I thought I would start going through as many apple recipes as I can find until I've used the sods up. No point in them just sitting there. There's a nice looking apple bread that looks like it's just bread, and you chuck apples in it. So let's do that. And it even describes itself as a very light, pleasant bread, which is interesting because I'm going to be using entirely whole grain, strong bread flour, and rye is my normal recipe for bread. And it just says, chuck in a pound of apples for every 2 pounds of flour. Oh, I need to cook the apples and make a pulp. So let's do my ancient traditional method. But yeah, it just says that you chuck the cooked apple pulp in with the flour, and then you need much less water as a result, and then you just make bread and it's got apples in it. How are my apples doing? Right, it's 16 ounces per pound, it looks like this. So we've got 6. So if I go with just over 10, because I always put rye flour in that. I don't really know why, I just sort of do. I didn't realise you could just chuck apples in bread like this. Chuck it into the microwave, and then I need to pulp them, I think. I'm also going to have to use my sourdough starter because that's the only yeast I have. My other yeast is out of date. Larry, my starter, is alright. He does the job okay. I don't treat him particularly well, but he does a good job anyway. I'm going to have to start looking up more recipes again because none of these recipes are using as many apples as I thought they would. Love it. The apple crusty pudding doesn't even include apples in the recipe. It includes the recipe of stuff that you just chuck on top of some apples. Apple savoury, and in this recipe book, whenever it says savoury, it means with sausage meat. I don't know why that is just a thing. Doesn't say anything in this 1950s recipe book about taking it straight out of the microwave. Right, okay, this is cooled down to warm now, so I now just chuck the apple sludge into the flour. If these were fresh apples, they're not, they're a couple of weeks old, then I wouldn't even need any water, apparently. The problem I now have is that I need to pretend that I know enough about baking to be able to eyeball the amount of water I need. It's a bit of concern. I think I need to put quite a lot of water in there, and hope for the best. I probably want a couple... I wonder how much of Larry I want. I'm just going to wing this as well. What about it? Why not? Let's go crazy. Normally I have specific measurements down to the milligram? Crikey, no, not milligram. Down to the gram or milliliter. How much of these things I need. But already be so far beyond my comfort zone that I'll just slop some of him in and top him up in a bit. Pretty much nailed that, actually. It's not, as far as consistency goes, that's about there, I think. And then I leave that for 4 hours. Okay, so we now have some dough with apple bits in it. Appley bits of dough. Right, we then need some tins. I don't know how many tins I'm going to fill. I don't know how much is going to rise as well. I don't know what I'm doing. As is the theme. Put into long tins. So I've let it rise and now I'm going to deflate it again, trying to force it into a tin. That seems strange. I'm not entirely convinced by that as a tactic. We're about to run out of batteries. Did you see any of this? No, not really. Yeah, personally, I think I should have let these rise in the long tins rather than having them rise in that. But it does specifically say the dough is allowed to rise for 3 to 4 hours, then put in long tins. 2 long tins of stuff is now ready to go in the oven. Oh, I need to change the camera. Fine, no. I need to remember to pretend like I'm going over here and then change the camera and then you get the shot. Because I only have one camera. But anyway. No, I didn't do that right. Hang on. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I think they're done. I did a skewer test a minute ago and they looked okay, so I'm assuming they're done. Maybe it's because I'm used to doing malt loaf this way, but they look really pale for some reason. I think it's probably right. Do you ever have those weeks where trying to be productive is like running up a hill of quicksand filled with snakes and paper cuts? Do you ever get that? I'm having one of those weeks. That's the sort of week I'm having. But I want to make this apple cheesecake recipe by Miss G.D. Hunt from Leicestershire. I don't have the time to. All sorts of other things. Songwriting, recording, music lessons, you name it. I've got a lot on at the moment. But I want to make this apple cheesecake, alright? So we're going to do that. And that starts by me using up the rest of these apples. They'll actually use all of the rest of the apples as well, which is good. It says to boil them. I'm finding that the ancient traditional microwave is doing a very good job, so I might as well just carry on using that. As I'm getting a little bit old, I haven't been particularly careful of how I store them. Just hack out all the bad bits, which is most of it. Oh, you're supposed to peel them as well, aren't you? Oh, that's a shame. We might have a peeler actually. Yeah, too late. So I've written 3-4 songs this week, which is unusually good for me. Mash them very smooth and stir in the juice of lemons. I've got some lemons. I mean, I don't know why I would have lemons. I assume before lemons they'd have used apple vinegar, which I've also got somewhere, but I'm just going to stick with the recipe. I don't back myself to do this right. Okay, these boiled enough. Oh yeah, that should be right. Right, okay. This recipe says initially to pare the apples, but it's spelled P-A-R-E, like a pear. I didn't know that was a verb. I thought they were pears. I don't really know how to do that. She says to mash them very smooth. And partly I don't think I've done a good enough job of it to do that, and partly I'm curious to see if I can get them to be the sort of more lumpy apple that you get in sort of Mr. Kipling's sort of little apple thing. It's lumpy, but it is quite soft. You know, you're getting sort of applesauce levels, which is how she describes it should be, you know? So, you know, just fail for all you're worth. If, like me, you're not entirely sure what I'm doing right now, it says in the recipe to soften all of the apples into a softness and then softly squish them. I don't have a big enough bowl to do it all in one, so I've got all of these little separate bowls that are soft to varying degrees, and I'm trying to sort of balance them out a bit. Juice 2 large lemons and the peel grated. Juice the lemons. Yeah, that's the juice. Okay, you missed a bit because my camera ran out of batteries, but I've now got lemons and stuff in the apples, and they're grated. I made that look incredibly difficult, but they are grated. So now, the yolks of the eggs and the butter beaten to a cream. Butter and some egg yolks. How do you do egg yolk? Don't get the... Oh, I think I've seen people do this before. Hang on. I might tidy this up. I might tidy this up in a bit. Ah, that's gone badly. No, hang on, I don't want to do it that way. Right, okay, fine. I'm going to have to improvise a little bit because I've made a mess of this. Oh dear, this has gone badly because that egg yolk is broken. Cool. So as a process, that doesn't work. Do you think you're supposed to do it like that? That'll have to do. I think that's what I... You're learning cooking from me. You're doing it wrong. But I now need to cream that with some butter. It's quite a lot of butter, crikey. That's 1/4 pound of butter to go with 3 egg yolks. It's going to be buttery. Use an appropriate was name. I'm not sure that this is an appropriate was name. That'll do. Right, okay. I now need to mix all this together. Oh, I need to turn the oven on, don't I? This is the apple lemony bit. And then we add... Oh, that's not a good sign. Cleanliness of the side. Normally hard surfaces have some friction. I don't know. We won't question it. We continue. Okay, so hopefully I can mix all this together. Okay, yeah, this is... And this is why it calls it an apple cheesecake. I was thinking that this doesn't sound like it's got any cheese in it. Sweeten to taste and bake in patty tins lined with rich puff pastry. Do we think this is a patty tin? I bought this accidentally a while back. I have no idea. Let's wing it. Now, I don't have the tin foil things that you normally get that sort of thing in. The closest I've got is these sort of cupcakes, which we'll have to do. They might do. Probably won't do, will they? You can see how this is going to go. Right, puff pastry. Deal with it. What are you going to do? You've got 6 minutes before you run out of memory. I wonder how I do any of this. Do I just use a knife? Oh, maybe if I use this and flatten another one out. So I've managed to make a funny little sort of cup thing inside that I can hopefully put stuff in. So that's going to be the sort of pattern I think I'm going to take. Okay, yeah, nice little cup thing. I think, okay, cool. Yes, that will do, I think. Will do as far as I'm concerned anyway. In fact, you know what, I'll just skip this. As it turns out, it was harder to figure out how much of what I needed, and due to unfortunately avoided opportunities to read the instructions of the puff pastry, I learned empirically how puff pastry works. But here are some apple cheesecakes. Miss Hunt then just says, bake. Just cook the thing. Shut up and cook it, Mark. So I'm going to use a recipe for a different apple tart thing I found online that said about 190 degrees for about half an hour. No, it might be fine. This time, it might be fine. Or it might go catastrophically now I think about it. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Oh my word. I mean, they look great. How on earth do I know if these are cooked? I have no idea. They look nice. I don't know if that means they look done. Well, let's wing it and see what happens. There's nothing in it that will inherently kill me immediately, so let's just see. Okay. So we've got apple bread and we've got the apple cheesecake. To be completely honest, I'm not entirely convinced that either of them are fully cooked. I don't really know. A Mark standard. Yeah, this is my normal bread cutting face. Got... Oh, it's risen. It's too gummy inside. What does it taste like? I mean, it tastes like my bread. I don't... Is there any apple? Okay, there's an apple. No, this is just bread. All of the apple seems to be completely... Like, sure, I tend to have wholemeal flour and whatnot, and rye flour and things, but when it completely swamps the flavour of the apple, I'm a little surprised, to be honest. I mean, it's nice bread. It's risen well, I think. I'll just be having tiny sandwiches for a few days. Sure, it's nice bread, shame about the lack of apple. And then we have an apple cheesecake. Oh, puff pastry. Yeah, that's the puff pastry, isn't it? That's what I forgot, yes. It looks really nice, and it smells really nice. Very hot, still, literally just out of the oven, so. Ooh, that's good. There's a little too much lemon juice. But other than that, oh, that's really nice. It's quite sort of creamy. I mean, there's a huge amount of butter in it, so it's reasonably buttery. But that does work, so it's still incredibly hot. It just has a really nice, rich, rounded flavour of the butter and the egg yolk, just sort of adding a bit of heft to the apple flavour. Well, I think I managed to do something with all of the apples, and some of it was very tasty. So, hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want to, for any reason. Check out all of my music, get involved. Yeah, join this adventure I'm on with unique music and silly things. Have a day.